Hey, you guys, what's going on? Flawless fam. We are here for another live this wonderful
Yes.
Friday night.
Yes. Hey Frank. Hey
Frank, Frank,
AJ.
Frank, what's going on? Man, Frank
Yeah.
is just so lightning fast. He is always on
And
everything.
Shanoa. I figured
Shanoa, what's
Shanoa was in
going
there
on?
too.
AJ's in there. Shout out to all our early people.
Yes.
Tim,
Hi
what's up?
Tim.
What's up? What's up? Yes. Tim, yes, Audra is lawless. She's ruthless over here. She's pressing on my legs. And
Look, so I did legs yesterday, and he did legs today.
Mhm.
And this man proceeded to push on my legs earlier. Me and him got into a very big brawl, like about ripped his ear off. You do not press on somebody's legs the day after leg day. That is like an unwritten rule in legs.
What's going on, Dallas? Audra's being very
Hey
abusive to me,
Dallas.
but
He
hope
knew what he was getting into.
hope
He knew.
everyone my ear is like sore.
It's half off right now.
But hopefully you guys are ready, empowered, and full of energy to take on tonight's, or how you say, receive tonight's interview with TSW
TSW
Reptiles.
Reptiles.
We've actually watched them
grow
from ground zero, from introduction. I mean, we'll go through the entire story as soon as we bring them on. They already have a super amazing story. They are our Patreon members. They've leveled up consistently, even on Patreon.
I'm blinking twice. I'm blinking twice.
I'm definitely gonna blink more than twice, right? Because I need help. She's always abusing me. But TSW, I mean, they are literally writing their story right before us.
Yes.
They found their way with their own blueprint in a few different species.
Yes.
And taking their time to make sure that they have all their logistics, animals. I'm not going to say aspirations or desires because they have that in check. But everything else, they're getting in line to be amazing.
They really are.
So, like always on this platform, we want to make sure that we put them in front of our audience, so our audience will become their audience.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of extending the reach. Yes, Chenoa, definitely keep laughing. She's really rough on me.
I am not. You're stupid.
Yeah, Jennifer. Yes, you made
Jennifer.
it, and it's just in time to bring on the awesome couple.
Yeah. Travis and
TSW
TSW
Reptiles. Here we go.
Hi.
What's going on?
Evening.
Yes. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into the first question. And it's basically just tell us a little bit about yourselves. How'd you two meet? How the animals become a part of that, and how we meet.
Well, as far as us meeting, it was actually honestly online. It was just happened to come by her profile and started chatting, and everything kind of just fell in place piece by piece, honestly. Like, wasn't even necessarily looking to start anything, and it just naturally.
Nice.
As far as animals, for me, I've had reptiles on and off since I was 10 years old. And originally in upstate New York, there wasn't much available at the time. So anoles that are running free here were $10 up there.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Well,
and that's back, 20 plus years ago.
Oh, wow.
He slid into her DMs
and slid into the DMs.
Yeah, he slid into the DMs.
Yeah, and the reptile thing is my fault. I kind of got her on that one.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
She said dogs, but I'm the one that started her on the reptiles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess, how did you end up in South Carolina then, if you were in upstate New York?
I actually came down here when it was a rough patch in life, and I was just trying to get, I guess you could say, a restart to things.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
That's how we
And, I have family down here, so I was able to come down here and stay with family and get things changed around.
works.
Yeah, it was definitely a slower, slower way of life. As far as things slowed down away from the hustle and bustle, being up north from Jersey myself, and you literally they even down here. A lot of people talk about the money, the currency difference.
Oh yeah.
And I get that, but even in those same conversations, we would talk to people, or I would talk to people and say, hey, yeah, you could be a one person's income, six figures, $100,000 in Jersey, New York, and that's like barely making ends meet. And people are like, what? Like, yeah, that's like barely making ends meet. The bills, the taxes, just the way of life, working 2-3 jobs is like the norm. So
Yeah, because like property taxes, I know the properties here, people might pay $400 a year. New York State, that property tax is probably $6,000.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
it's insane.
now,
and I know Jersey and PA are pretty much right around the same area.
Oh yeah.
Now, Savannah, what did you think when he first introduced you to reptiles?
I fell in love.
Well,
I mean, I was very interested in to begin with it. But when I first held it, it was like a spark. Like
Yeah.
it just initiated everything. So
what I actually did is took her to meet some friends of mine that used to be ball python breeders. And once she actually got to see, like adults and babies just with ball pythons, she was like, that was it. Like he's like, my buddy looked at us and said, yeah, you're walking away with a snake tonight. I was like, yeah, I kind of figured.
yeah.
And we did.
Yes.
Oh, man. So what was it just specifically about ball pythons that kind of caught your eye versus other, colubrids like corn snakes and other different species?
For me, I never really had like a pick a flavor either way. Like I'm one of those ones, I find beauty in all animals, and whether it's smart or stupid, I don't fear any animal.
Right.
I respect the ones I know can kill me,
Yeah.
and I will give them every ounce of respect, but I don't fear them. But I find beauty in all of them. Even if they're ugly, they're still beautiful.
True.
And it's one nice thing about ball pythons is they do have a very mild demeanor compared to most animals.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That ended up being like my thing. That's the reason why it was good for me, because of my fear that I had previously. Ball pythons, they're just like little puppy dogs, like in this industry, sincerely.
Right. They call them pet rocks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it was funny. It was funny because the first time I think he got tagged by one was the monsoon boy, wasn't it?
No, it was the ultra male pod male.
Okay, so either way, it was one of them. I saw it kind of like happen or whatever, and he was like, "Oh," and it was his fault because he was like feeding funny, and the snake really thought that he had another rat.
No, what happened was with the rack systems, everything's so closely together. We pulled out the ultra male pod was raw, but while I was holding another snake over top of the open tub, taking picture and video, and the ultra male pod tagged me on the bottom. So yeah, it was definitely my fault.
But it's like as soon as it did, it was like, that wasn't what I wanted. That does not taste right. Yeah, it just like popped right back. Like it wasn't like it hung tight or anything. It was
like, that's not what I was looking for.
Exactly.
No, yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. They just don't. I mean, I've had a few of the babies like snap at, I was like, oh, you just about got me. Like I just about got my first bite, but they just really don't. They're just like more curious than they are.
Now, if you talk about rodent bites, that's the queen. She gets nibbled all the time.
I do. They nibble me.
Mice.
Like I dropped. I pulled one of our drawers out, and one just like popped out and like I was trying to catch it, and it like literally I dropped it. Well, then I dove down on the ground because I was like, no, you're not going rogue, because once the things go rogue, it's over. And so I'm just like grabbing it, and I grabbed it, and of course it's like trying to get me, and I'm just like putting it back in. it now it's like it looks at me every time I open the drawer. I'm like, you remember me, you little turd. You're not going anywhere.
Won't be me.
Yeah, like she's never had any issues as far as like our rats when we've had to get rats for ours, but we actually had to get African softbirds this week for the first time, and she fed them. She got bit. I think first or second one in.
First one, and then I also dropped another one.
Yeah, another one tried to escape from her.
So
Oh gosh.
And she's just like, yeah, next time if we have to get them again, she's like, you're dealing with them. I'm not doing them again.
yeah,
It hurts.
I've had to feed them before, so I'm just like, yeah, okay. It's like, here you go.
I'm good. I'll pick up the rats, but our mice, like, I mean, I'll grab them if I have to, but it's not my favorite thing because the rats, it's funny because our rat guy, he was like,
Yeah, grabbing
like,
an African softbird is pretty much like grabbing a bigger mouse. They have friendly.
yeah. So he's like,
Yeah.
the rats actually have emotion behind it, and the mice are like all instinct. They do not care about you whatsoever. They're just like all instinct.
So how'd
All response, no thought.
you spin into the Crested Geckos?
Yes.
So I took her to her first reptile show actually at Columbia Repticon
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
back in 2020.
Yep.
And it was COVID was still going on. Back when the shows, I think you had like an hour and 45 minutes to make your path
or 2
or
hours.
something like that. And yeah, it was still, I wouldn't say it was like kind of like when COVID was first starting to come down.
Mm-hmm.
And we were walking around. I just wanted her to go there to see what was beyond ball pythons. And Gecko Junkie, she actually saw this crested gecko where she was just awestruck.
Yeah, I needed to have that.
And in the end, I was just like, let me do some research real quick because I had seen them before, but I didn't actually know a whole lot about them. Did some quick research, talked to the guys at Gecko Junkie, and I was just like, the heck with it. Let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then at that show, even though we weren't there for anything venomous, we still went and walked around the venomous section. And while we were there, ended up seeing one of my dream little animals, which was Kenyan sand boas. And there was a guy there selling 1-month-old babies that had eaten, I think, only 4 or 5 meals for $25.
Yep.
Oh wow.
And I was like, you know what? Heck with it. I'm getting it because that's one of my dream little animals because I've always just liked them.
Right.
Yeah.
So for something where it was just to walk around and show her around, we walk out with 2 animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was
Isn't every show?
It was our second show at
Columbia?
Charlotte. Is where we actually met you guys.
Yeah.
Was the Charlotte Repticon. And that was the second show we had gone to. And she was wanting to get 1 or 2 more Cresties just because, let's face it, just like any reptile, they get addictive. Let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when we got talking to you guys, it was actually you guys, like something about the way we conversated. It was like for the 5 minutes or less than it was like, okay, we got to follow them on whatever platform they're on.
Yeah.
And we see where that's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something about our conversation with you two is actually what started it in our brains thinking like,
Let's breed.
Let's let them look into breeding because it's like we already have this passion and breeding would make it so we can share that passion with others and do something that we enjoy. And I want to say it was probably close to a solid year before we actually made the full decision to start actually breeding. At that point, our collection was still growing because we were getting animals that we do like, whether we were going to breed or not, we were getting stuff to us that we found beautiful.
Yep.
And then once we finally made that decision, it was just like, okay, well, now that we've made that decision, we have a lot more research to start doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you did it.
You did.
You literally watched
Yeah, it never stops. I don't care how much you think now. It's like tomorrow something new is going to happen.
Oh yeah. It's like we just sat and watched y'all blossom. Really. Yeah. it was fun to see it from zero to hero.
Yeah.
Man.
Definitely. So how'd you come up with TSW? We know.
We know,
How'd you
obviously.
come up with TSW Reptiles?
It's literally just our initials, Travis and Savannah Wynn.
Yes.
Okay.
And initially we knew we wanted to do that, but we at one point thought of saying geckos, but then we kind of thought about the fact, like, you know what, we're not going to be just in the geckos. We're going to be, that's where we're starting, but we want to branch into other species. So we made that decision, like, you know what, we're going to go with reptiles because that's literally what's going to be. I mean, yeah, we're not going to deal with every reptile out there. Ain't got that kind of money, but you know what, we're going to deal with the species that we love. I think it was even something you guys said one time: breed for you and what you love, because that makes it much easier for you to show the passion of the animals that you're producing and trying to find new homes for.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So now, speaking of specifically your Cresties, what are your goals for your Cresties? Like, are you wanting to maintain the hobby with the Cresties? Or are you wanting to go full-blown business? What are you wanting to do?
The eventual goal is to try to turn it into a full-blown business with the Cresties and the reptiles. That's our long-term goal as far as that goes. I mean, right now we have, how many adults do we actually have that we're not selling?
Too many.
Like 40?
That's what I always say.
Yeah, like right now we got about 40 adults that are actually either already have been in the breeding program from this year or should be going into the breeding program next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we have more that we're going to raise
30, 32, 3 babies and juveniles right now that we're trying to, let them grow up a little bit and sort them out and see which ones we want to continue with and which ones we don't.
Right.
And then of course we do have certain programs that we absolutely want to get into one day. Of course, Xanthic being one of them. That's the big one for us.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like it's so much you can do with it, even for being a dark gene. There's still so much you can do with it. And Xanthic in any species tends to just be beautiful, anyways. It just does.
Oh yeah, it's all how you approach it. It's very untapped. Even though it's been out for a while, but it's recessive, which makes it a tad bit harder to create certain combinations, which makes the process longer. But in that same notion, it also keeps the value as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to adjust with everything else.
You girls really should be doing that right now.
Yeah.
Now,
Answer that question.
we know you vended shows.
Mm-hmm.
We saw you actually, but could you tell us about your experience with the show and how it went for you and what you did, the nerves, the planning, all that kind of stuff that went into it?
Well, the planning is probably not as long as most people would have done as far as planning.
Well, not for you. Not for the selling gecko lives.
Yeah, because what ended up happening is we actually vended and we shared a table with friends of ours that are nearby that breed ball pythons and leopard geckos.
Okay.
And we both were talking about vending there, and I actually messaged the holders of the show to say, hey, me and this other breeder, we don't exactly have enough to fill a table each. Was it possible for us to split a table? Is it okay for us to both be there to represent ourselves? And they said, this is your guys' first show. And I was like, yeah. And they said, go ahead, get your guys' feet wet. If this helps you get your guys' feet wet, get you into shows, they said, do it. We're happy to have both of you. Well, that was it. And I think we had maybe 4 weeks, I think, to get everything organized at that point.
Yeah. I mean, we know which geckos we were going to sell because
we already knew. We already had a list of what was going for sure at that point.
And then I make resin stuff. So I started cranking out resin stuff to start selling for that also.
Which, speaking of, the gifts that y'all sent us were absolutely phenomenal. And I still have yet to put that video out.
Right.
we have so many videos, and I've got I've got like little snippets of what we've gotten from everyone, because there's been, multiple people that have given us things that they've created, and it's so beautiful and so awesome. And I kind of wanted to put together like a whole compilation video. So I'm kind of, I take forever doing it.
Yeah, Audrey used to
Compilation videos take forever anyways.
Yeah, but I say it, man. She would edit a video and it would take like a week, and I'm like, "What is you doing? We can't do that." So I would edit videos, and then now it just fell into me editing the videos for the majority of us and being able to constantly put them out in a timely fashion. But if she takes up a video, oh my gosh. Wait on that compilation video. Okay, we'll see how long.
Well, my problem is I start too many things, and I'm like, oh,
it'll be a good New Year's video.
Yeah.
Well, if we're lucky. Okay, if we're lucky.
It's my ADHD. I can't help it. But so leading more into that show scene, you got to meet some other Patreon members. I see Jennifer in the comments. She said that she got to meet off that show, and
it was. We actually met her at the previous show when it was the same show, but when it was previous that held the time before.
Yeah.
And we were looking at one of her geckos, and all of a sudden I happen to look just right, and I see the business card sitting on the table, and I'm like, I look up and I go, "You follow Flawless." Yeah. And I was like, "We're TSW Reptiles. I've seen your name," and that was it. And of course, we ended up buying an animal from her that day too.
Right. Oh, that's we love.
And a gecko that we ended up coming to name Red Mac.
Yep.
Red Mac. See, and that's why even with the Discord, everyone's talking back and forth in the Discord. We love it. We were actually shout out to Dallas and DNA. He'll be up on the episode soon as well, and they have all kinds of things going on, thoughts, ideas, products with new food, and all kinds of stuff that's being shared amongst Patreon members, people sharing different ideas, different concepts, everything. And that's what it's all about. It's not just about us, it's about.
Yeah, I was reading that about them talking about the new food, and the stuff they're talking about, I've actually been seeing like in various Facebook groups, and one of them was a guy, I can't remember his name, but I guess he's like one of the larger crested gecko breeders in Canada.
Right.
And he actually got it the last time he went to the Ham Expo over in I can't remember what country it's in, but he went to that and he bought a bunch of it to try, and he said he absolutely loved it.
In the UK.
Geckos loved it. He loved it.
So it's sweet reptiles.
So he's actually getting it imported himself now.
Yeah, we're excited to kind of give it a try as well.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, especially because the way they were talking about it doesn't have all the little added fluff, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure people are going to attack. Everyone attacks everything, but you got to kind of go into it and be optimistic sometimes. And the first thing they're going to want to say is about shelf life. And we will be the first people to tell you we order tons of food that don't hang around on the shelf very long. I mean, we go through pounds and pounds of food.
I mean, even us, like when I order right now, because like when we do ours, I do a 3-piece blend of equal numbers. It's growth and breeding. Good Lord, I'll wake up at some point today. It's been a long day. The growth and breeding with the Pangea complete, and then for the third part we'll rotate flavor. Right. And so whether it be Repashy at times or other Pangea flavors, but it's just so there's always a constant rotation there. And I'll usually order, I think a total of like 3 to 4 pounds at a time, and even for us and our collection that we have, that'll only last us maybe a few months.
Right.
Somewhere's in that ballpark. It's like I was like, I'd love to get the big bags. Nah, I'm gonna hold off on that one for the moment.
Yeah,
it's pricey when you start getting the big stuff.
But as your numbers increase, because they will increase with your whole bag.
Oh yeah.
That it will eat them up. I mean, we go through 4-pound bags.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, we'll definitely need to do it, but we're gonna do it.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. So I am excited. I'm excited for you guys because the vending shows was one thing that, we didn't do for the longest time.
Right.
And when we were able to get out from behind the keyboard, out from behind the screen, and actually meet the people that we followed on a regular basis, like it really helped us, really connect with everyone
Right.
on a more personal level. So vending those shows, gives you guys, especially you Patreon members that are in the same areas, like you have a home base that you can go to.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go into it completely unknowing anyone and feeling so new. Like, oh, okay, we have a common interest here.
Plus, you built you a network.
You
is
do.
Basically, what was there. I think we were slow ourselves to get to it because we wanted the growth and the reach. And the only way to maximize your dollar that you're spending for us at the time, to maximize your dollar you're spending to gain the maximum return was internet.
At the time.
Pay for your
Right.
landing page, website, morph market, whatever, that was giving you your maximum return. I feel like doing it the other way around is really tough. You guys are on both. It's nice to be able to ship out, which is what we're going to ask you about next. Ship out your order, and be super nervous on whether it's going to arrive or not. And once you do it a few thousand times, you're like, okay, this is really cool. And we attack it as a family. So that's the other, I guess you can say, safety net in a way, because if you have, 40 geckos that are available and you're planning to win the show, anything can happen. Car trouble, travel plan, work, anything. And when you can still at least show those geckos off and make them available for purchase from the comforts of your home is oh man, that's awesome as well. So we wanted to be able to do both. And that's why we started that way first. You guys tell us about how it kind of jump started for that online sale. How'd it go for you?
So far with us doing because we had done Craig's before, which is always kind of hit or miss. But when we started the morph market, it actually, in the short time we've had the morph market, I think we have sold 6-7 animals now.
That's
6 or 7 animals, something like that. And so it's like, then it's been fun. But also, like, with the shows, it was like, because it was kind of impromptu. We did not expect to vend a show until next year.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I just want to bring this part up because we also, the last show when we did vend, we also met Donnell.
Oh yeah,
from Patreon, and he actually bought a charcoal crested male crested from us.
Nice.
Oh wow. Yeah, and he's very unique because we met him at a show as well, the same way.
Yeah.
And he ended up tapping in with us. And I think he was rather surprised at first that it wasn't a sales pitch. How we meet people. We tell people literally, hey, they may like some geckos on our table. Some things may be pricier than others. Like at the time, if they're looking at a lily white or a headed Xantic or whatever it may be, it'd be a little bit more pricier than other stuff. And we would still let them know, hey, think about it. Make sure that whatever you decide to go with is what you really, really want. By the way, before they step away, we let them know, if you choose another gecko from anyone else, any of the other breeders, and you need assistance, yes, reach out to them. But if you need assistance, reach out to us. We'll help you, even if you didn't buy from us. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah. And
he said that to us when we first met you, and that was one of the things that for us was, we got to follow these guys. That was one of the things that you guys said that just immediately just stuck in the back of our head like no tomorrow.
Right.
That was definitely one of our first bigger impressions that really, it surprised us, but it made us very happy too.
Because, I think it hits home. As much help we were, I don't want to say tricked. We weren't tricked, but our first geckos ever came from Petco. Before we ever knew anything, and I researched everything.
Today.
Got the geckos, listened to everything they told me. So I hate that portion. Literally, and I don't use hate often, but I hate to be kind of told something just to make a sale. And that's what happened. Went home with it, researched it. Everything they told me was wrong. Kept all of the geckos in the same enclosure. Like everything was wrong.
Everything.
So we started down that path of research and driving her nuts. And we just saw some of the most beautiful animals. Started ordering from the majority of who's who in the gecko world. And then started, import license and all that other stuff. Started going down that rabbit hole. But that main point of what we wanted to be, what we want to represent at any show, online, anywhere, is that, we stand behind our word. And if we're going to say, hey, we're going to help you, if you reach out to us, reach out. Because literally all it takes is a couple finger movement on your phone just to help someone,
Yeah, it does. And, because that's one of the biggest things, because we even were doing the same thing when we were vending. It's like, if you got questions, let us know. And one person was like, what if I don't even buy the animal from you?
Yeah.
Stop by, let us take a look at it.
Yeah,
that's right.
We've been more than happy to give our opinion on it too. And a couple of people did do that. And when we were showing them different things and how to because I'm not going to say we're obviously still very much learning, especially with certain traits, how to identify and better things like that, because that's never going to stop. Thankfully, it's never going to stop.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And it's like we were able to do that, and these people were surprised by it, and they have checked in back every now and then to see what we got available.
Absolutely. You build yourself an amazing clientele list. We did the same thing with, we look up to a lot of people, Brian at Altitude, Wiley in the Net, Tara, Bowling. Like we look up to a ton of people in the industry. So even when we started the Patreon, we wanted to offer things that people weren't doing, weren't offering. And even though we were in the game for a good bit, but nowhere near 15, 20 years like some of these people been in. So we're like, okay, well, if we're going to do a Patreon, what are we going to offer? Which is how we started questioning ourselves. What would we want if we were going to join one? And that's why we wanted to come up with the savings accounts and things like that. So we can put out, theoretically speaking, free information for our Patreon members that's exclusive, but also give them something that's forever there. It's like something always there. They got all the special person, then we just keep adding on to it. But it's definitely gotta be something in the industry that brings everyone together and not constantly drawing or driving people apart. That's the only part about the industry we want to change.
We do, yeah. We feel like you guys being able to create this flawless family.
Yes,
it is a group of like-minded individuals, people who value positivity, who value, the togetherness and value building that. And so it's just a wonderful thing to see that really grow and really, become a family, become this network of people. My dream is to see it just expand even further and to see you guys break off and do your different things and have almost like a family tree. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like you guys are growing with your branding, your gecko collection, your other species of animals. You guys are growing tremendously. So we're not trying to say, oh, everything is perfect and everything is always going to be perfect. No, it's just if you have a problem or something is going on, we want to put that energy towards finding a solution rather than worrying about, just the negativity portion of it. We think it's better applied that way.
Hey, Patrick.
What's going on?
Yeah. So, just to lead into more questions about you guys specifically, what morphs are you currently really looking at and exploring, and what are your thought processes as far as moving forward with said morphs?
Besides Xantic, we know that's high on your list.
Her favorite project that we're actually trying to prove a couple on right now is Super Stripe Empty Back. And one is actually the male, is actually an empty back male that we actually got from Brian. Did we get that this year or last year? That was this year, wasn't it?
Yes, a couple weeks ago.
No, but she believes so. Let's see if he'll show up.
He's probably like, ow.
You betcha.
Yay!
Oh,
Look at the
wow.
head on that sucker.
He actually got the perfect heart.
Yeah, it was during one of his little sales that he had going on,
Right.
and he had him marked down quite a bit. And she was like, "I want it," and I was like, "Heck with it, do it." That's kind of the opportunity we've been trying to find,
Right.
and it was like, "Do it. It's worth the risk."
And then the yellow one.
And then we have our yellow line, which is confusing us. The male on that is actually one to, because the first time we got geckos from you guys, it was when you did your $500 3 baby mystery boxes.
Right.
Yes.
The yellow male is actually from that box.
Oh.
I can't remember what was his.
Ghost and Dijon is his
Yeah,
parents.
Ghost and
Dustin and John.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Dijon are his parents.
So, he's probably not going to show up.
Yeah, he's not really fired up at the moment. And we put him with a female that we weren't expecting anything necessarily too crazy.
Right.
And needless to say, they proved us wrong.
Oh.
Like, they have been producing these Harlequin and tiger type geckos consistently.
Right.
It's almost like a brindle.
But it's like pretty high pattern Harlequins, but they've all been very bright.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, this last they hatched is very dark.
Really?
Nope, going your way.
Uh-oh. Got a runner. Catch there.
Yep.
Yeah, they're good for that.
Oh, there it goes.
He's probably not going to show up either.
Yeah, he might be too whited out.
Yeah. It shows up.
But it's all these yellows we've been getting that have been super, super bright.
Right.
We have a.
And then this one all of a sudden comes out super dark in comparison to all the others with a lot less pattern. We're like, I thought we knew what you guys were making here.
Hey, they're always gonna
And
throw
you're just like, look, it doesn't matter because at this point, we're putting those two back together next year because they've just been producing these absolutely beautiful animals
Right.
Mhm.
that we just didn't expect. Like this is one of the ones that's a little bit brighter, more higher pattern in comparison, and that's right towards the camera.
Speedy Gonzalez.
Of stuff like that,
Don't go to the sink.
and then they changed on us, and it's like it made us realize there's no forecasting this stuff with crested geckos. They're not like ball pythons.
It depends.
You can have no idea what happens. Now the intrigue is going even higher.
Yeah,
you
keep track of it, and eventually, once you isolate it enough, you can pull
almost
that.
assuming what they're gonna start to produce. Yep.
Yep.
And then one that she's also looking forward to as well is because we have a red super Dow line that they're animals that we're working with, but she also wants to deal with yellow super Dows.
And we just picked these two up. This is the male that we got from Brian.
Oh wow. Yeah. So small and so already covered in spots. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
And I can't remember. Isn't she like actually a little bit heavier spotted?
Yes.
Yeah, the female that we picked up from him is even more spotted.
Really?
He's more spotted. Well,
she has bigger spots.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like she has a little bit fewer spots, but like her spots are more of like that ink spot, oil slick.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Oil spot, whatever you want to call it.
Definitely.
They're a lot bigger on her than him. So it's like, okay, let's see what happens with this when they're ready.
And then
Hey, the Dalmatians, the super Dows, they're addictive.
They are.
We have quite a few that we'll never probably ever let go. It just is like any other project though. You have something, whether you purchase or produce it, and you think you're hitting the ceiling, and then you produce more, and you're like, wait a minute, you got another step ahead of you, and you realize.
Yeah, that's what happened with our yellow ones this year because we're like, okay, well, we're seeing a formable pattern,
Right.
and then it just completely changed on us, and we're like, what happened? I don't know what happened, but okay, let's keep this ball rolling.
With the yellow Dows, I am actually going to pair with it a light red base to hopefully create orange Dows. That's the goal. So
sounds like a plan.
So definitely a path to go down.
Yeah. So now
Yeah,
the
just
very
because it's like some of these paths that we want to go, we know it's going to be, it might work out, might not, but
Right.
we want to do it. This is what we want to try to figure out and see if we can make it happen. If we can, great. If it doesn't work out, okay, then we just change it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Figure it from there. Where some stuff is always, and I think that's where some people make in any business will make a mistake is they put themselves on a set path and think that they can't deviate from it.
Oh, we know.
No, you have to be flexible because if you're not, then you're never going to succeed. I don't care if you have the absolute highest quality product in the world. If you don't carry a flexibility in your thought process on how to offer what you have or how to get what you have, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to work out.
Yeah, we learn that constantly.
At least in my opinion.
We have to learn that the hard way. Audrey's dragging me down the ball python route, so I call kicking.
Right. Sure, because we all know that was
In the previous videos.
We forgot. I breed leopard geckos also.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Nice.
We actually this coming year. Probably. Yes. This is one of our meanest geckos that we have.
I don't want to say he is the meanest,
but he was actually produced in house by first time breeding.
Right.
He is just a basic temporal albino. And then you want to pull out Clementine.
Yeah, come on.
So,
leopard gecko bite versus crested gecko bite. Which sucks more?
Leopard gecko.
Yeah.
And then Clementine. She's a tangerine temporal albino. So
bold.
Now,
yep.
Are there
so we're gonna pair them this year.
Are their behavior similar? Are they more bitey when it's time to breed, or will they just bite you just because?
He's just mean. The others are as gentle as can be.
Yeah.
Until when it gets to breeding time, they won't per se attack me, but they're more aggressive towards the females,
right.
Which comes with their leopard geckos. And then we just need to get a black knight to finish out my project of the leopard geckos.
Gotcha.
Ooh, nice,
Okay.
Yeah, she has her projects in mind with that, and I was showing her stuff, and she came up with her projects, and I was like, all right, as time goes on, we'll make it happen.
So in the very crested gecko that you had, like what morph was it when you actually fell in love? What was the very first one?
Red Dalmatian.
Red patternless Dalmatian.
Patternless Dalmatian.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Notice
okay.
the theme?
Oh yeah.
We actually have her. She unfortunately passed away 2 years ago.
Yeah, she after she had dropped some duds, this is when we were just using not dirt, the cocoa fiber.
Right.
And we were just using it straight up. We didn't know about adding the sand to it to make it non-sticky.
Right.
And what had happened is a piece got stuck and embedded in one of her armpits. And she was fine for weeks and weeks, eating, going after her bugs, everything. And then it was like literally from within a period of 48 hours, started losing a bunch of weight. Her attitude changed and everything. And ended up really going over like a wholehearted inspection. And that's when I found the infected spot. And it was very deep, like just holding her, you would never have actually seen it. Like I literally had to spread her apart to basically find it, so to speak. And by then, unfortunately, it was too late.
Right.
She did such a resilient job of fighting it until the very end minute. By the time we found it, it was just too late, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
And it was a very hard mistake. I took it the hardest because to me, I was like, my thought was, I should have seen this. I should have caught this. And then that's when I actually, oddly enough, Tiki's Geckos put out a video maybe a week later about stuff like that.
Right.
And And that's when I started learning about that. And it was right around the same time that you guys put out a video about how you add the play sand to the cocoa fiber to make for the lay box. I'm like, I needed this too much sooner. But now I know it's going to happen again. And it hasn't.
Yeah.
It was like, it's not happened since. And I'm thankful for that. But we've, it's one of those things that it was a painful mistake, but mistakes are going to happen.
Right.
And we kept pushing forward because we had some animals that we couldn't understand within a 6-month time frame that passed away on us. And I don't remember if you guys actually remember. You guys were actually talking to us and like talking us through that about not giving up, because I started questioning myself, honestly.
Right.
And some of them we kind of did figure out what went on. It was a couple of them, it was unseen conditions that they had, which is going to happen. I hate to say it. That's any animal. I don't care if it's reptiles or dogs, cats. Genetics sometimes don't rear until when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then a couple other ones, it was things that maybe could have gotten changed on our end. I couldn't really confirm per se on those ones exactly, but I was just like, I'm going to do it. It hurts, but I'm going to make sure I do whatever changes I have to do to make sure that this doesn't happen. And I'm not going to say it too much out loud because I don't know how much of the quality is the wood around me, but, and things have been going good since. And it's just like that thing where it's like, I never want to know everything, because if I do, then what's the point of even going further with it? I want to keep learning. And that's what we've been trying to do. And that's how I've learned to make, so I don't repeat those mistakes where things did go wrong.
Yep. I mean, we're learning too.
I mean, we always do. You've got to learn, like, things that, we didn't know years ago, and it's like common, thing for us now. But even now, like, we're still learning and growing as we go. I mean, I think if you stop learning, then you cease to exist. So that's
you really do.
So as far as now that you kind of have gotten into the swing of things of care and husbandry and all that kind of thing, how does your day-to-day care go? Like, who does what and how do you think out?
She smiled.
Honestly, most of the time, a lot of the stuff as far as like the Cresties and all that actually usually comes down to me. And that's just because most of the time I'm honestly the one that has most of the time available. Like with her job that she's at now, she's actually accepting a store manager position.
Oh wow.
But it's just, she most of the time she's working a lot more hours than I am, and then especially the last few months, I was actually out of work for many months because of my parents' health issues that they had going on. I was taking care of them, which thankfully now they're doing better, so I'm working again. But as far as the Cresties, I mean, everything gets checked daily in one form or another. Mondays and Thursdays we're pretty set on that being our feeding days.
Right.
And misting I do have to do 3 times a week, because where we have everything set up, we're not able to put in humidifier to control where they're at, because it's also still basically like living area.
Right.
A little bit trickier to do it in that area to keep the humidity where it needs to be, but I have found, like, with doing it on the feeding days and then usually on Saturdays, very, very light mist, and their humidity levels are staying where I need it to.
Nice.
On a very rare occasion, I have one gecko that seems to be producing issues with a little bit of shedding issues, but it's still a baby.
Right.
But every other baby that was born, its sibling that was its clutch mate, no other problems. So it's, I'm thinking it's something to do with particularly with that baby.
Right.
It's very rare that I end up with a shed issue with any of the babies. I mean, we just found a shed the other day. I don't know why it didn't eat it, but it was almost a complete shed.
That wasn't a baby.
That was an adult.
That was Aspen.
But yeah, it was like almost a complete shed. And it was just like, here's this little glove, and she didn't eat it. And I'm like, okay, well, we're still going to keep the shed if you're not going to eat it. We left it in there for another day to see if she did.
Right.
Nope. she didn't touch it. And I was like, well, it's food day, so kept the shed because we use sheds like particularly from the ball pythons and our snakes for the resin crafts.
Yes.
Right.
So it's like, well, Crested Gecko sheds is not something you're coming by often for
Not a full shed.
Right. Right.
stuff like that. So might as well keep it. Don't let it go to waste. And it was weird because she's never done that. She was actually the female that we bought at the show that we met you guys at.
Right.
Although she slightly disappointed me this season.
Oh.
Hopefully she'll be better next season.
Well, she laid 10 beautiful duds.
Beautiful duds.
Yeah. I mean, at first, after the first 2 clutches, maybe it was the third, I kind of started to wonder. I'm like, I wonder if it's the male that's the issue.
So we switched them up.
Because I'd seen them locked together.
Right.
And, and I don't go look. And it was just one of those things, doing the checks and like, oh, yep, they're at it. I was like, I know I'd seen him locked. And I was like, I wonder if it's him. So I went ahead and switched them out for the following sessions. And it was still the same thing. I had seen them locked up and nothing happened. So I'm like, well, shoot.
Sometimes it just be like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we still did good. Our the yellow male that we showed you earlier with his female, they've given us 10 eggs this year.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And they're both first-time breeders. She's a first-time mama. She gave 10 eggs.
Congrats.
Fantastic.
That's definitely.
Yeah, I think.
That's a solid season.
Yeah, that's why we were surprised. So between the level of the prettiness of the animals that they were putting out, which even kind of surprised us, and that it's like, nah, those two are staying together for at least another year.
Right.
We initially didn't think we'd be doing that with them because we, wanting to try to figure out our groove and how we want to work things, so to speak, and experiment. But it's like, no, this experiment went too good. We're keeping this experiment the same. Like, that one's staying.
All right, so I've got a question for you. Do you plan on starting a YouTube channel?
Yeah, because you probably should.
Yes.
We've actually have been talking about that, and some of it, because we were thinking about that, like the first thing I was actually thinking about is like, because we were talking a little bit with the online stuff. Every animal that I have shipped so far, I have gotten compliments on. Like every single person has complimented me on the shipping, and I've had 2 or 3 of them say that they wish the big time breeders that they deal with on the regular would ship that good.
Right.
And one guy in particular, he is actually a business himself, and he's like, I had to recreate your shipping packaging and take photo step by step because he said, I want to ship the way you did. He said it seemed so simple, but it was so beautiful.
Yep.
And I was like, and that was on our first sale, and I was just like, whoa, wait a minute here. It was like, and it was taking pointers from you, Brian, with a shipping video he had done a long time ago. I think some of the information even came from Wally and Miss Annette from Supreme Gecko, like they had done about shipping some time ago. So it was like I kind of took a collaboration of all these things, and before we were even close to shipping, I bought shipping supplies. And at one point, I had a box literally just put together because I was making fake shipping situations. Like, how do I want, what in my mind is going to be the best way to do this?
Right.
One time she woke up and she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Playing with shipping."
Playing with shipping.
She was like, "Okay." And it was like one of those things to me where it's like, well, I guess it was worth it.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm getting this consistent compliment. And, it's like there so few people put out good shipping videos with reptiles in general, not even just crested geckos, just animals in general. And it's like stuff like that where we're like, we'll start putting stuff like that out at some point.
I think at some point you as a consumer, as well as a breeder, you ship so many animals out and you've received so many animals in that you just kind of get into that sequence of, all right, beautiful animal, very, very beautiful animal, that you forget about presentation. packaging, and things like that, which is where we're like, okay, we can improve this and improve that. Because we were where you guys were. We had close to 100 geckos before we even had the name Flawless, before anything. We were just, having fun, enjoying, trying to map out some breedings and create some cool animals for ourselves. It kind of, it created a certain, I guess, tranquility, in us. It was a peace.
Yeah, it really helped our relationship a lot.
Absolutely, because that's what we would conversate over. And it's the weirdest thing because I call it the regular world, because us reptile people understand that the regular world is very weird.
Yeah.
So when we're talking to like the regular world,
they're looking at us like,
what? It's just a lizard? Like you kept it? And I'm like, yeah,
I get that. Like, we both have gotten it with people that we work with, where it's like either they become massively intrigued
or turned off,
or incredibly confused.
Yeah.
There's really not much in between.
no.
But it's like I don't care if they're confused or intrigued. I'll answer whatever questions you got.
Right.
Yeah, it's hilarious because when I talk to people like family members or friends or whatever, they'll be like, "Yeah, no, I would never do that."
Yeah, that's what they'll say. I would never do that.
That's okay, because I'm not asking you to.
But I sit there and same thing. Like Audra, she didn't, she wasn't into snakes. She wasn't into geckos. But when we started rolling up, man, she's doing all of it now.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I say we're a team, and they'll ask me, your wife, or at that time your girlfriend let you let me, like, we doing this. It is what it is. She better get on this train. We rolling.
Yeah, even when we were only buying them as pets, and then as we were talking about it as far as doing the business, it was never a you, I, this, that. It was you had to collaborate on everything together on it, discuss every little piece together. And I think in part that's why a lot of it, even though we had our big bumps and bruises along the way, a lot of it for us fell together is because we didn't stop working on it together, and we still don't. Right. I mean, yeah, there's certain things I focus on more than she does. There's certain things she focuses on more than I do. And that just usually comes down to more of, say, a scheduling thing than anything else.
Right.
But then there's certain things, like when it comes to do our deep clean with the Crested Geckos, where it's like everything's getting taken out, everything's getting cleaned off. 99% of the time, it's both of us tackling it together. Because one, it makes it a lot easier. And two, if there is something wrong, having 4 eyes on something is going to make it a lot easier to see. Which thankfully has not happened in a long time. So it's like, there's, certain things, it's, with very few exceptions, we are going to tackle it together. Other things would be like, okay, well, I'll take care of this today and you take care of that part tomorrow.
Right.
But we're still working together in the end. Even if we're doing stuff separately with the animals, in the end, we're still working together on all of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because the same things happen. I get sick, Audra gets sick, work still gotta be done.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we both have had those days where we're both sick at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Both running like 102-degree fever, and we're like,
oh god,
hey, we gotta feed animals. Okay, let's get up. Let's do this. And usually in that case, it'd be like, okay, we're gonna split this up into sections.
Right.
We're gonna do this many, rest for 5 minutes, this many, rest for 5 minutes. And it's like, it made things take a lot longer, but in the end, it still got done, and we were still working on it together to get it done, even though it beat the living crud out of us.
Yep, and that was part of our business. Audra, she's about to get super happy. I always use her words, but she kind of comes up with this SWOT analysis.
Oh yes. But wait. I have a little quick just anecdote for this, because here's the thing. I said to him initially, we need to do a SWOT analysis for our business, and he's like, no, that's not useful. And I'm like, how is that useful? A SWOT analysis in every business that you've ever done. It's your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats.
Right.
And that's how it works. You know, you list it all out, and then you can attack it, right?
So she's
You can
accurate.
tell me I'm crazy that
She's
this
accurate.
was a horrible like discussion, heated discussion that we had about it, and then
I'm
months,
stubborn.
and months later, he starts using
Well,
my term.
That's because we have a different vocabulary. Where she sees it as a SWOT analysis, I see it as whatever we're faced with, we need to go through, over, or whatever. We got to keep it moving. So, but I get on that topic because the sickness, you know, when we're doing this as a hobby, or even as a hobby that's thriving to turn it into a full-fledged business, you run into that gray area about what do you do when you're sick. That was the biggest issue we were facing when it came to possibly doing shows. We love to do shows, and we're going to keep doing shows, but we need to be able to do shows and not expect to turn a profit. Because if you had to cancel a show because of sickness or you can't make it, then that would eat into whatever revenue you would.
Oh yeah.
Which is a threat. That, you know, is where that came. So that's why we pushed online so much initially. But you need a healthy supply of both.
Yeah. And now we use the SWOT analysis, like I said initially, because, you know, it came to the point where it was like, oh, this is my idea now. Like, yeah.
Oh, man. See?
So I'm just going to.
I know someone to be an idea thief and not realize it. And now when I bring it back, she's like, wait a minute, you did say that, didn't you?
That's perfect. That is perfect. Just one second, I do want to say this. If you see the comment that's up there, Brett Robinson, Brett and Cheyenne from Solus, they were on the interview a little while ago. I want to shout out to them because they were the lucky winners.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
2 animals in the drawing the other night. One being
okay.
Mantic.
Yeah, and
the Lily White.
Oh my gosh.
Was it the Lily White?
The Lily White.
Yeah.
We gave away another. And speaking of that, we got another giveaway coming up.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got you guys.
Yeah, we got you guys. Or Miss Your Blind.
Oh my God.
Yes, Lord. Noah. Those 2 are awesome. Snow and AJ with Triple AJ. But all right, bye Jennifer.
Bye guys. Enjoy your
bye, Jen.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, so yeah, idea thief. I'm gonna use that from now on. He's an idea thief.
Sometimes you have to, and then just bring him back down to earth is all you got to do.
I mean, not really
I'm not
spin it, you know.
If you spin it,
you gotta.
I'll say I probably have. I know I have done it where she's like, didn't I say that 2 weeks ago? And then I'm like, maybe. You may have. I don't know. I mean, I probably did hear it somewhere, and I just didn't register where it was.
Yeah. I call it selective hearing.
Yeah,
we choose. You know.
Yeah, he only
memory. You can't remember where you heard it from. That's all.
Oh me. Okay, so it looks like we're coming up on a little over an hour.
Yeah.
This has been fabulous. But what I want to ask you right now, guys, is where can people find you?
Yes.
Your social media platforms. Do you have websites? Do you have anything that we can put out there for everybody to find you and find your availability and all that good stuff?
We do have the Morph Market, and that's got all of our availability right now. And then Instagram is the one that we've been using the most.
Yeah.
It's been slowed down a little bit lately, but that's because we've just been absolutely slammed this time of year. Yeah. I do have a Facebook going. I just have to really start working with it. What I really want to do with that is to use for our breeders, for people to be able to go back to see what the parents look like because it's very easy to create albums with the Facebook.
Right.
So for the immediate sense, it'll be a lot easier. We will be working with getting on a website going at some point, especially because we feel it's going to be a lot easier with the fact that we also do, like the reptile themed resin craft stuff.
Right.
It'll be a lot easier to have our own website to be able to just put up, stuff that's available for sale, but to also say, or you can get that same item customized and it'll be this much instead.
Right.
But that's really about all we got going as far as social medias right now. The YouTube eventually, I would say if we do start anything as far as YouTube, it's probably going to be next year, honestly. Let the chaos of the holidays run out first.
Yeah.
Start coming.
All right, now we're going to do that. And we'll also bring you guys back on again for a second dose, get a whole follow-up on production from your 40 breeders and what you're producing, any issues you face, obstacles you deal with in these earlier stages of building your business and branding, and possibly come up with instant solutions at that point if you are having some issues, because we feel like, just because we are where we are, we're still continuing down our own path. But if we've experienced something that you may currently be experiencing, we would love to be able to shed light on things at that time. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that people do neglect a lot when they're first starting on any kind of business, really, is the branding. Because like before we even started selling online, it was like we were having business cards made, we were coming up with our emblem design to get decals made for it, and then weren't able to get it right away, but we actually decided that we are going to issue birth certificates to every animal we produce.
Nice.
Admittedly, I did steal the idea from a video on YouTube. I think it was Pangea actually does that, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So it's like that was kind of like my influence from them, but I just loved it, and I was like, and we want to try to do those tiny little things that just make it stick out a little different.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want to bring up, it's a little different situation. Obviously, you guys work with the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas every year.
Yes.
And I already talked to Wally about this, but we're not just participating in trying to possibly win something this year, but we're actually donating as well. One of the things we're donating is a resin art package of stuff that Savannah has made, but we're also donating a charcoal crested gecko that we produced
last year.
Well, half produced. The breeder thought she was done laying eggs, and she's not fired up. And then we had her for about 2 weeks, and she started laying eggs again. And apparently, at that point, she had not laid eggs for like 8 or 9 weeks.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
The breeder thought she was done, and we ended up with 4 babies out of it.
Congrats!
Nice.
The one here that we've kept, or that we're keeping, or donating. We have a male who was the first one that hatched, named Twix, that we're actually keeping. And oddly enough, he's coming up on the 30-gram mark. Wow. Still has his portholes, and he still has white, like fringing and kneecaps going.
Oh,
he never lost. And all of her babies, because she has very faint portholes,
right? But
all of her babies, any white they have that seems to be born with them, is actually staying. Yeah. As they're getting older and everything. I think you guys even told us, you're like, yeah, usually the white disappears, like starting like the 12, 15 gram mark.
Right.
She's at 17 grams, still has the same white she was born with. And Twix is, like I said, come up on the 30-gram mark, still has all the white.
Oh, wow.
And, that's great, too. And the one we're donating actually has, you can't see him when she's fired up, but she has red spots on her, which we usually have Dalmatian, but she actually has red spots. Oh. And those didn't even show up until recently. We're like, where did this come from?
So that's definitely a very nice one. But it's going to be a nice donation. You got to take some really, really nice pictures.
It's just those things, again, where it's like you don't always know what you're going to be producing.
Yeah, plaster those pictures everywhere.
Yes, absolutely.
That's an awesome donation. Yes. Oh, wow. That's going to be
Yeah, it's like I actually approached him about it last year after the 12S DOC was done. And he absolutely loved the idea because he's like, that's not one you commonly hear donated.
Right.
And I think what intrigued him, because I know he wants to try to limit, the actual number of animals that are donated.
Right.
But just the fact that it was something so different in comparison to what's normally donated, he's like, we would absolutely love to have you guys involved next year. And we messaged him again. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I remember. I remember you contacting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wally and Ken are such good people. Like we just love them to death.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're on the list of people that we do would definitely want to meet one day. And then when we all started this, you guys, Altitude Exotics and Tiki's were like the three breeders, like where you said one day we are going to have animals from these people. Well, we've completed that checklist because we finally were able to get some stuff this summer. But now Wally and missing that are on that list.
Yeah.
At some point, it's like we will be buying something from them. We're not 100% sure what yet.
And they're beautiful people.
But we want something they have produced.
They are. They're
Yeah, we
beautiful.
probably might be going with the Pictas or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd be
it's-
cool.
we want to have a nice little variety with our stuff, and they'll be
Right.
the people to get the oddball stuff with.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for spending your Friday night with us. Like we said, we definitely gonna
Absolutely, thank you for having us.
Oh, plenty. Oh man, don't worry at all. This won't be the last
This
time.
won't be the last time.
So just hang out a little bit and we'll come back there and chat it up
Yeah.
while we close out everything.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
There. Ooh, I don't know what
I
that
don't know
glitch
what
was.
just happened,
but-
but
We appreciate you guys spending your Friday night with us. Yes. Aw.
we love Friday nights with you guys too.
Yes. We do realize, especially in the World Wide Web, you guys can really be spending your evenings doing some of everything, especially even on YouTube, checking out some of these awesome edited videos from all the different creators that's posted on YouTube. And you guys chose to kind of come here and just chill with us. So we really appreciate you guys. Definitely stay tuned for more Black Friday week event deals that's coming up.
Got lots of good stuff going on.
Lots of good stuff going on. The number one thing, the biggest sale of the year. We rarely have sales. We have updates and new release, but we rarely have sales. And if you go and check out our very involved and creative purge video that's on here, you can see us announcing some of it. We're going to have over 200 geckos.
So it's really a purge.
It really is. And the first 10 purchases of $2,500 or more, you'll get unsexed 100% het Xanthic. This is the first time this has ever been offered. You know, we love trying to put our best foot forward and be the best and first at doing different things. We kind of wanted to get slightly away from giving the lily whites, which we still love and work, but we wanted to give a pricier animal for those wanting to get into the Xanthics in a big way. So hopefully we'll see you guys there doing your purchases. And also, Patreon members already know, but the sale itself starts November 20th through that Friday, the 24th. So it starts at 9 p.m. on the 20th, which is a Monday. For Patreon members, they will have access the 17th, which is the Friday. So Friday the 17th at 9 p.m. No, Friday the 17th at 9 p.m. They'll have access all weekend until it's released for everyone on that Monday. So thank you guys for hanging out with us and enjoy your night. We love you guys and appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.